Hey everybody, if you're at all familiar with my YouTube channel or have watched some of my prior videos, you probably know what this is. In case you don't, I'll just explain real quick. It's a Minneapolis Moline factory prototype crawler. Its serial number is X253 and it was built sometime in 1956. The reason I'm using it for a backdrop today in this video is to help introduce another Minneapolis Moline prototype that we've just recently begun the restoration process on. This prototype is serial number X231. It was built in around January 1955, so it's about a year to year and a half older than X253 here. X231 is actually one of the prototype units to the Minneapolis Moline Model 445 wheel tractor. And that's kind of another reason why I wanted to use X253 in the background, is because it's basically a 445 Minneapolis Moline tractor that they took the wheels off of and put tracks on, made it run, made it steer, and all that. So the goal of this video is to get everybody up to speed on the current condition of X231, tell the story behind it, kind of explain some of the things we've done to it already. Unfortunately, much of that backstory is going to have to be told with pictures, since about 10 years ago now, we actually completely disassembled X231, thinking we were going to start the restoration process then. We stripped it all down to bare castings, had a good look at everything that was inside, and quickly confirmed that we had a real basket case on our hands. Long story short, we had to basically mothball it and put it on the back burner until we had the free time to really go through the whole machine, rebuild it and do it right, and B, the resources to really do it right. So I'll try and keep this video as short and sweet as I can. I've got pictures to go from the old black and whites when it was brand new at the research and development facility at Minneapolis Moline back in '55, and I also have newer color pictures that we took of the tractor once we really learned what it was and when we first started the disassembly process. So this is the first video, hopefully of many, that's going to kind of document the restoration process on X231. And instead of wasting any more of your time, let's go over to the bench and we'll look at some pictures. So here we are. Now, everybody just bear with me. For the sake of convenience, I'm just going to throw pictures down in front of the camera tonight so I can actually point out some of the details I'm referencing. So that's how we're going to do it. This is X231 when it was brand new. This picture is dated January 1955, and it was taken down at Minneapolis Moline's workshop where they put a lot of the prototype test units together. And you can see it has a radiator and grill that is very similar to an early model ZB. Yet it's all mounted on a steering housing that is power steering equipped, much like what was eventually found on a production 445. The engine has been upgraded to the vertical overhead valve 4-cylinder gasoline 206. The fuel tank is rather wide, kind of blocky, really square. The hood is very flat, yet it features a center section that does slope upward or come upward as it goes back toward the operator. The steering wheel is rather high mounted and pretty much flat out in front of the operator's seat, and it's hard to see in this view, but there is a 3-point lift assembly that's mounted under the seat, much like a 445 tractor would have ended up having. Same tractor, just a view of the other side. And I apologize, the resolution on this one is even worse than the first one, but it is a copy of a copy at this point, so you do lose some detail. But notice the ZB style air cleaner mounted under the hood. It has all of the same plumbing in the front end that a 445 would have had. Water pump in the same place. It has a intake exhaust manifold that is very similar to what is found on a 445. Odd part about this tractor, it features a 3-bolt flange starter instead of the single set screw style bolt that's more commonly found on Molines of this vintage. You can get another partial view of the front of the 3-point lift unit that's underneath the seat. Same
steering wheel, high mounted, rather flat out in front of the operator. Same ZB style grill hood, same front power steering. You can see down here it's got a ZB oil pump with the longer ZB style oil filter can. And you can just see at the back here, it looks like a ZB style drawbar mounted underneath. Just a quick view of the rear of this tractor, mostly to show the highly unusual 3-point lift assembly that's on the back. Really nothing about this 3-point lift system really even resembles anything that made it to the production stage at all. The housing has some very wide set arms. Top link with the draft control bracket on the back is extremely different from what a 445 had, as well as all of this elaborate, it looks like draft control mechanism that ties into the lower 3-point arm somehow, comes up through this linkage, looks like to a plunger and a valve here on the side. Even the lower 3-point arms look like they're like a I-beam style construction. Everything is very, very odd on this setup. Now, unfortunately, none of this 3-point mechanism pictured ended up staying on this tractor. By the time we got it, all of this had been replaced with much more modern equipment. But you can see the belt pulley drive unit positioned where a 445 would have had it. Same as the hydraulic pump and rear PTO. So now we fast forward roughly 30 years. This is the tractor as we found it. A lot worse for wear, but you can see it has all the same attributes to it that I pointed out in the earlier black and whites. Still has the ZB style air cleaner, although sometime throughout the years someone kind of crudely put an extension on it and torched a hole in the hood and put the pre-cleaner up top. Missing the wheels, radiator or the grill kind of dented up, beat up. A lot of problems in the front power steering. A lot of problems in the rear end. Rear differential housing broken. Drawbar had been changed. Like I said earlier, the whole 3-point lift had been changed. It had a newer style teleflow unit on it. You can still see it has the 3-bolt flange starter yet. Most of it remained intact, although what was still there was pretty beat up and worn out. Quick view of the rear. Like I said, all that early 3-point linkage, the lift, the housing, everything had been removed from this tractor at one point, and it had a much more modern teleflow unit put on with paint that looked like it could have come off maybe like a Jetstar series, something of that vintage. Likely the old 3-point lift assembly either broke and there were no replacement parts to be had, or maybe it just didn't work that well to begin with. And the people that used this tractor between the time it left the factory and when we got it may have just wanted a more modern setup on it. So that's what happened. So kind of a view of the operator's platform, or what the operator would have seen. Very odd shaped steering bolster, clock style hour meter down here. Steering shaft comes out the top, throttle lever comes out the side. Fuel tank, that flat hood with the raised center section. That center section actually housed an instrument cluster that oddly enough featured 2 coolant temp gauges. Each cylinder head had its own sending unit that each one powered a different gauge, so they could get a little better idea on how the engine was running for temperature that way. Okay, one last look at the operator's platform. Footwells, footplates, much like a 445. Brake pedals very similar as well. And it also does feature the battery compartment built into this fender right here. Okay guys, now we're going to fast forward to 2006. This is the part of the story I briefly touched upon earlier, where I mentioned we started completely disassembling X231. In this picture we took it down to a rolling chassis and had it sandblasted pretty much so we could get all the old paint, the old grease, everything off, so we could get a better idea of what we may be up against with this machine. Like I said, it was already apparent that it was pretty much a basket case, and we knew we were going to end up disassembling the entire thing and rebuilding from the ground up anyway. So that's why it didn't bother us at all to go ahead, blast it as a unit right here, and just kind of get some of the first stages of cleanup done. Okay guys, this is the last picture I want to show you before we go look at something real. It pretty well sums up the condition that the entire machine was in. I don't know how many times the previous owners had to rip this drawbar off the back of the tractor before they just gave up on the bolts altogether and welded it the way they did. But when we got into the rest of the machine, we found that damage like this was actually the least of our worries. We did strip the entire machine down to bare casting shortly after these pictures were taken. We took good stock of all the components inside, tallied up all the damage, and really found that we had a basket case on our hands. Subsequently, virtually all progress on this machine ceased for a long time after that. So that brings us to where we are today. This is how the machine sits, just as you see it right here. Years of condensation have made it rusty again. Now, in 2006, if I would have known it was going to take 10 years to get back to this project, we never would have sandblasted it. We never would have taken anything apart. But you know, now it is what it is. We do have all the parts. It is still complete, even though it's not much to look at right now. But at least progress is being made on it once again. So first on the list as we proceed is to get the engine rebuilt. As I go along, I am going to make more videos that will further get into all the detail aspects of this prototype unit, compare them with production 445 pieces, contrast the differences, and just kind of show the uniqueness of it all. We'll just kind of look at a few of the oddball parts of these right now, like casting number on the block, 10X4557. We'll check out the number on the transmission. Another 10X prototype number. This is a 10X4913 transmission casting. And the rear end housing is a 10X part as well. That number is on the bottom, so it can't be seen right now, but I will show that at a later date. And to finish up the video, we'll just get a quick little shot of the serial number tag. We have model B1U, serial number X231. So that pretty much does it. That's the whole backstory on this tractor. Stay tuned for more videos. I got a lot more coming down the pipe here. I'm going to upload a video every time any bit of progress is made. So if you want to follow along, keep an eye out for that, or just go ahead, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the button down below the video here, and you'll get updates every time there's a new video to see. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, we'll see you.